Hey, how's it going, everyone? Bill Lethman here for Money Evolution. In today's video, I'm going to be helping you to understand your Social Security spousal benefits. So if you're someone that's getting a little bit closer to retirement, this is something you might be starting to think about a little bit, maybe starting to ask some questions or wondering about what are some of the key considerations and the best ways that you can optimize and coordinate your Social Security benefits with your spouse's Social Security benefits. So in today's video, I'm going to break it all down, kind of make it super easy and simple for you to understand because it's actually something we've been getting a lot of questions about recently, and so I thought I'd come on and make this video for you. But real quick though, before I get into the content of today's video, if you're wanting to learn a little bit more about what we do at Money Evolution, you can check out some of the links down in the description below. There we've got some information about our comprehensive retirement plan called Wealth Vision, and also our retirement time machine retirement program that we have as well. So there's links down in the description below. Go ahead and check those out. Okay, so the first thing we need to understand as it relates to these Social Security spousal benefits is that when we have a married couple, whether they both worked or only one of them worked, or one of them was a high wage earner, they were both high wage earners, or any combination of that, essentially the way that the Social Security spousal benefit works is that if the benefit from the lower wage earning spouse is not at least half of what the higher wage earning spouse was earning, then they're entitled to a spousal benefit that's going to bring them up to basically being the equivalent of half of the higher wage earners' Social Security benefit. So let me give you an example of this because it'll make a lot more sense here. So let's say that we have a couple, and there's one of them that is a little bit higher wage earner, and their Social Security benefit at full retirement age, FRA, was $3,000 a month. And we have a lower wage earning spouse, whether they worked a little bit or they worked a lot or they didn't work at all, they're going to be entitled to, at their full retirement age, be entitled to at least half of that higher wage earning benefit of $3,000. So basically, they're going to be entitled to get at least $1,500 a month at their full retirement age. So how this works, let's say we do have a lower earning, and let's say they have a little bit of a benefit on their own. And so one of the things I think that gets a little bit of confusion and a lot of questions that get asked about this is that people don't necessarily understand that the Social Security spousal benefit is actually calculated independently of their own primary benefit. If let's say they're both 62 years old today, and they're exactly or roughly the same age as one another, and their full retirement age is 67. So if they both wait till age 67, the high wage earning spouse turns on their benefit, and the lower wage earning spouse turns on their benefit of $1,000. They're going to be entitled to get basically plus $500, so that's going to bring them up to $1,500 a month, and that's going to make them equivalent to that half of what the higher wage earning spouse was. Okay, that's pretty straightforward and pretty simple there, but we can do all kinds of different combinations of that, and that's why when we start talking about Social Security strategy, it really needs to be looked at within the context of an overall financial plan and really understanding how all these different moving pieces work, and not only just within Social Security, but also how it relates to having to take withdrawals out of portfolios and things like that. But that's a whole separate video. So let's say that the higher wage earning spouse decides to wait to collect their benefit till their full retirement age of 67, but we're going to say that the lower wage earning spouse decides to turn their benefit on at age 62. So remember, you can collect as early as age 62, but it is going to be at a reduced amount. So if they waited till their full retirement age, they would get $1,000 a month, but at 62, it's going to have about a 30% reduction, which means that they're only going to get about $700 a month if they begin taking that benefit at age 62. Kind of fast forward through time a little bit there, by the time they get to their full retirement age, when that primary wage earner, the higher wage earner, begins to collect their benefit, they're going to be entitled to a spousal benefit, but it's not going to bring them all the way up to that $1,500 a month. It's only going to give them an extra $500 a month, bringing them up to a total of $1,200 a month. So I think that's something that has in the past created some confusion. People have had a lot of questions about that, maybe thinking that as they get up to that full retirement age, they're going to get brought all the way up to that full one half of their higher wage earning spouse benefit. Now, one other thing I want to mention here as it relates to this is that in order for you to get a spousal benefit, the primary or the higher wage earner needs to have actually filed for and began collecting their own benefit. So if we continue this example, we say, hey, the higher wage earner decides that they're not going to turn on that Social Security benefit at age 67, but they're going to instead wait till age 70. Well, unfortunately, what that means is that that lower wage earning spouse that began collecting $700 a month at age 62 is going to have to wait until that higher wage earning spouse begins collecting their benefit. So these are some very important considerations that you need to keep in mind as you're deciding when to collect Social Security benefits and how to best coordinate that. We're using an example here where that lower wage earning spouse actually has a fairly good benefit on their own, $1,000 a month. But it could be for some people, maybe that benefit is only $500 a month. So now the considerations have to be, well, does it make sense to continue to delay that because you're getting a higher benefit for that higher wage earner to wait, let's say, all the way to age 70, but then that means that the lower wage earning spouse isn't able to collect that benefit, or at least as much of that. If they're only getting $500 a month as their own benefit, they're missing out on $1,000 a month of a spousal benefit instead of our first earlier example where it was $1,000 of a spousal benefit potentially. Okay, so let's continue on with a couple more examples here. Let's say that we have some discrepancies in age. We have a older spouse, younger spouse kind of a situation. So let's say in our first example here that we have a primary wage earner that is going to be younger than the lower wage earner. So let's say that the primary wage earner is only 62 years old, but the lower wage earning spouse is actually 67 years old. So it's going to be the same thing. Remember, you cannot get a spousal benefit until that higher wage earning spouse actually begins collecting their benefit. So even though that high wage earning spouse could begin collecting benefits, which would give a spousal benefit, so they get $1,500 a month instead of just $1,000 a month, that they would be entitled to, they're going to be taking a reduction themselves. And again, that's going to be about a 30% reduction for taking that benefit early. And again, because it is the higher wage earning spouse, if we're going to try to get anyone's benefits maximized, it's probably going to be that higher wage earning spouse that we're going to want to really maximize that. Because remember also, it's going to be that survivor benefit as well that's going to be based off of the amount that that higher wage earning spouse was actually collecting. And you can grow that benefit all the way to as late as age 70, which is going to give you delayed retirement credits, and you're going to increase the amounts about 8% per year for every year that you delay past your full retirement age. Now, if we reverse the situation, and let's say we had the higher wage earner that was older than the lower wage earner, then it kind of gives us a little bit of an advantage there. So let's say that we had our primary wage earner, higher wage earner at 67 years old right now today. They're at their full retirement age. But let's say they're at least 3 years older than their younger spouse, okay, the lower wage earning spouse. They could, again, delay their benefit to as late as age 70, earn those delayed retirement credits to really boost up that benefit. And then also, it would give them the ability for their spouse, who is a little bit younger right now, to catch up during those 3 years and then begin taking their benefit at their full retirement age. So they would get not only their full benefit, but they would also be entitled to their full spousal benefit as well. So that's a way to kind of look at that. So there's a lot of considerations to keep in mind there as it relates to these Social Security benefits, and really kind of playing around with them a little bit and understanding the relationship and how it works between one person collecting versus the other, and what are some of those benefits there. But anyway, I hope that all made sense. I hope you got some great value out of today's video. Remember, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Be sure to check out the resources that we have in the links in the description below about our retirement planning program called the Retirement Time Machine and our Wealth Vision financial plan. And I look forward to seeing you back in one of our next videos. Thanks.